What is up, Breadheads? It's your boy, Mike Holland, at MC Holland34 on Twitter, and welcome to another CBBDFS First Look Show. We'll be breaking down tomorrow, which is Tuesday, January 27th, DraftKings Main Slate. The 9-game slate is tipping off at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It was going to be a 10-game slate, but now it's going to be a 9-game slate due to Tennessee and Georgia moving their game to Wednesday due to weather. So hope everyone is staying warm out there. Hope everyone's been safe as we've had this ice storm roll through the United States here. But excited to be with you today. We got 2K to first on the board. The live chat is heated up already. There is also the One and Done Invitational tomorrow, which is the 13th edition of the One and Done Invitational. You see the link right there at the bottom, as well as the QR code up at the top. $5 entry, 30 max here, top 5 pay. We've been doing it all year, so Breadheads, jump in there. We'll send out a tweet with the link as well sometime tomorrow, which is Tuesday. All right, let's dive right into a quick overview of the slate. So, man, when I was looking at the slate all day today, it's just, I would call this an absolute banger of a slate. You can pretty much do whatever you want on this slate. A lot of places you can go. Nobody's over 10K. The totals are awesome in 8 of the 9 games. And then you have the one dud that actually has, a player or two that you can consider. So really not that many cross-offs on the slate, which we're pretty excited about. So make sure everyone hits the like and subscribe buttons. I think we're trending towards 1,800 subs. Make sure you do us a favor and lock those in for us and help us get to where we want to go as Jay dives in here with the flame emojis, which I'll give him here. And see if I can't keep this winning streak going. At last check, I was tied for second in one of the smaller tournaments. So hopefully that'll work out for me. Have a little bit more coin to play with for tomorrow's slate. All right, let's dive right into it. Try to get out of here in 35 minutes or so. So the first game on the docket here is going to be Arkansas at Oklahoma. We use Ken Palm's metrics here. So -3, 167 total. That's a big one. So we're definitely going to want to be interested in this game. When you look at it, Oklahoma's going to be paced up. Arkansas 25th in the country in tempo. Oklahoma probably going to give up a lot of fantasy points, 121st in defensive efficiency, which is not good. When you factor in SEC play, they're only 14th in defensive efficiency. So Arkansas with this huge 85 implied total, they're going to be able to have their way inside. Oklahoma giving up 53.5% from 2, and they're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, giving up a 35% offensive rebounding rate. So, yeah, let's kind of break this down. First guy obviously got to talk about is the cover boy here, Darius Acuff. He's been awesome, 9,400 on this slate with nearly a 30% usage rate and shot rate and a 32% assist rate. So you have to love that for sure. Definitely don't mind going here. There are a lot of quality guards that you can spend up on. I'm definitely not going to talk you off of any Darius Acuff, and I'll have my fair share of him. There's just a lot of guys that you can attack on this slate. So yeah, definitely like him here. I'm really intrigued by Trevon Brazile at 7,600. In conference play, like his usage rate and his shot rate haven't been great, but every now and then, he'll put up a nice scoring game. He has that rebounding rate that we want to try to take advantage of, and he has stock upside. So he's always a tourney option for us. So Trevon Brazile at 7,600. Don't think he's going to get a lot of clicks, but I definitely think he's an interesting tournament play if you're trying to win 2,000. And then everybody else probably priced about where they should be. I would say I'll mention Nick Pringle. He's 4,100. If you think he stays out of foul trouble, he's definitely got some rebounding upside, some shot blocking upside. And also we've mentioned that Oklahoma struggles inside, so he could take advantage of that for sure. But my two favorite plays from this Arkansas side are Acuff and Brazile. We'll flip it over to this Oklahoma side. I mean, 82 implied total is not bad either, especially when you know that the 4 guys that are going to be on the court basically the entire time. You have the rotating 5 spots. So Arkansas has been okay in defensive efficiency during SEC play. They're 6th out of 16, but they're last in opponent effective field goal percentage. They do force a lot of turnovers, but they're giving up 57% from 2 and nearly a 53% opponent assist rate. So some pieces on Oklahoma at home here that we have to pay attention to. Nigel Pack, 7,400. It's okay, but once he kind of gets over the 7K range, I tend to shy away. I'd much rather use Xavier Brown at 7,100. Definitely a guy that has some tournament ceiling here. He likes to get downhill, so he's going to create some havoc. Nigel Pack's going to shoot a bunch of threes. So whenever I see a matchup where we want to take advantage of, getting into the lane, creating shots for others, that definitely profiles well, and he's $300 cheaper than Pack. So definitely like Xavier Brown for tournaments. Tay Davis at 7K. His profile is really nice here too because he does a lot of his damage in the paint. He does have some rebounding upside. He's been playing basically 30 to 32 minutes essentially every single game. And he has a little bit of assist upside too for a big man. So I like Tay Davis a little bit more for cash because when you're looking at tournaments, you're probably going to click on Darian Reed. He's 6,100. Now I get the minutes volatility with him is it's pretty annoying. I mean, he could easily play 24 minutes in this one, but lately, I mean, in the overtime game, 43 minutes, you got 36 minutes against South Carolina. He even played 28 against Bama, and he's played really well lately. So you kind of have to look at him at 6,100 because the price kind of been where it's playable for tournaments. Like, could he drop 20 fantasy points and burn you? Absolutely, but he does have upside, especially in this type of matchup. So I don't mind attacking him here for tournaments only. And if you think Jaden Jones can continue this absurd stock percentage, he has an 11% combined stock percentage. If you think he continues that and knocks down some threes at 4,600, I definitely think he's worth a look. So that'll break down the first game. We'll skip on over to the second game, which is the lowest total by far on the board. Virginia -7 at Notre Dame, 141 implied total. There are not going to be a lot of possessions in this game. Probably about 65, maybe 66 if we get lucky here. When you look at this Virginia side, still implied for 74 on the road. Notre Dame, 11th in defensive efficiency during ACC play, so kind of middle of the pack here, but they are just giving it up inside. 58% from two. Now, they are shutting it down from the outside. They're number one in three-point defense in ACC play, so we're going to want to target some guys that kind of get downhill and do some of their work inside. Malik Thomas at 7,200. He's definitely a guy that's scoring reliant. Don't love these guys when they get over 7K, but I mean, it's hard to ignore the 34% shot rate he has in conference. He's actually rebounding the ball a little bit this year. He's got a 17% assist rate. So, I mean, he's in the player pool. Tez DeRitter, he can get it done inside and outside, a 28% usage rate. Not a guy that gets a lot of stocks, but his peripherals are kind of like Malik Thomas. They're really, really solid. So, if you're looking for, someone that's not going to completely burn your lineups, like I feel like Tez DeRitter now has kind of settled into this 28 to 30-minute role, which we've seen the last 3 games. I don't think he's going to burn your lineups. More of a cash click, even though he does have a little bit of tournament upside. If you're looking at tournaments, I would much rather take a shot at the 22 to 25 minutes that Johan Grunlow is going to get at 4,900. He's got massive stock upside. He doesn't shoot the ball a ton, but he has a really good rebounding rate. So every now and then he can put up a pretty big game, but he is very, very reliant on essentially everything kind of going his way. So very much a tournament play on this one. Then we have Dallin Hall. I don't play Dallin Hall because he has a 12% shot rate, but he's been pretty good recently. The minutes floor has been really nice even since Jakari Lane has come back. I mean, he's playing 30 to 33 minutes essentially. This isn't UNC, this isn't SMU, this isn't Louisville. Like, all these games are going to get more up and down in this 65 possession game, right? So he has to get there with assists and rebounds because he doesn't really shoot the ball, though we've seen 16 shot attempts in the last 2 games. I think that's a little more of an outlier for him, but at 4,500, he has to be in your value player pool for sure. So Dallin Hall, kind of an interesting click. We'll flip it over to the Notre Dame side. Not a ton to like here. Virginia 3rd in defensive efficiency during ACC play. They are turning it over at almost an 18% clip. So the problem is Notre Dame just doesn't force a lot of turnovers. Carson Tout for tournaments, you can always look at him because he's a double-double threat, 6,400, a 42% combined rebounding rate in conference. It's just, you just don't know who's going to get the minutes here for Shrewsbury. Sometimes he plays them 30 minutes. Sometimes he plays these guys 22 minutes. So it's really tough to trust any of these guys. I guess the one, I don't even know if I would say Shrewsbury is probably the most trustable on this side, but you'd have to look at Jalen Harrelson just because of his rates too. He's kind of like Tout, where Tout has like this massive rebounding rate and could luck into a double-double. Jalen Harrelson, 33% usage rate, but man, his fluctuation of what he's able to do outside of shooting the ball. I mean, he's not going to produce any stocks. He's just going to take a bunch of shots. It's a tough defense. So I don't think we really have to spend too much time on this Notre Dame side. I think Braden Shrewsbury is kind of interesting. 5,300. He's a guy that takes a lot of threes. His assist rate's bumped up a little bit. It's only 15%, but he's had a couple of games with Burton out where he's been in the 25% range. As you see what he did against UNC, but he didn't score the ball in that game. So if we could ever get it to where he shoots a lot of threes and he's facilitating, the minutes should be 32 to 33, even maybe 35 in a close game. Just interesting tournament click if you think he gets hot at home here, but the 67 implied total is pretty ugly. Cole Serta, do you have to mention him as well? He's 4,300. He's in the value player pool. He doesn't do anything really. He's just kind of out there. He's kind of an all cardio guy. If you want to take a shot, we're going to talk about some other guys that are just much better plays. But these guys are obviously going to give you like really, really low ownership. You can't trust any of them. So, all right, that'll wrap up the first two games here. See, Darren has jumped in here. Jay will be back tomorrow. We are going to do a live reaction show. So, Darren talking about Elatonsev. Yeah, I just, 4,600 for him is a little expensive. It's hard to trust that. It's an overtime game last game. So if you want to click him, he's definitely in the tourney player pool. So, all right, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons. Help us grow out. We're doing all kinds of stuff here. Shout out to Nate C. Hospital for producing tonight. Shout out to Eric the Blue for setting up the studio. We've been on an amazing run this year, and it's just going to get even better as we continue the next 7 weeks up until the brackets come out, and then it's going to be full madness from there. So hit the like and subscribe button. Help your boys out. Let's try to win some money as we slide over to the next game. This is going to be, I think, potentially an awesome real-life game if Nebraska can kind of hold their own. But on KenPom, they're +9 going to Michigan. They've been winning, so it's tough to. I would take. I think in the market right now it's like 11 points. I would just take the points until they show me that they can't. Now Michigan can't blow everybody out, so kind of scary. They're second in defensive efficiency. This is a pace-up spot for Nebraska. We have to pay attention here. Frager is questionable, so that really condenses their rotation. Just hard to like these kind of like ceiling type price points for these Nebraska guys. Price Samford at 8,800. That is an absolute tough click when you consider that, he's going to be drawing a lot of Gaxel Lindeborg and Morez Johnson on the defensive end. So probably not for me if I'm going anywhere. Might look at Rink Master, although this matchup is not great because he has to deal with the bigs as well. But the usage rate and the shot rate are there. He doesn't give you any stocks, which is pretty annoying. But if they're going to pull this off and you think Nebraska could pull off the upset, then it's probably going to be because of Rink Mast. So he would have to obviously have a huge game for them to make this work. Everybody else on this side, Lawrence, too expensive. Weird Tunsil got the price bump right. He's kind of where he should be in a tough matchup with the front court. If Frager's out, then Kel Jacobson at 3,500. Like he's not like the sexy click by any means, but if he's going to play 25 minutes in a pace-up spot here, certainly don't mind dumpster diving. I mean, he had 16 at Minnesota, and this is going to be a much better game environment, and he's going to be blowout-proof. So if you're looking to spend up for multiple studs, then he's definitely in the bargain bin player pool. So we'll flip it on over to the Michigan side. Nebraska now second in defensive efficiency in Big Ten play, so the top two defenses in this one, but you're still looking at a 81 team total just because of how efficient Michigan has been offensively. Gaxel Lindeborg, 8,900, 30 to 31 minutes here. Just hasn't really shown us like a massive ceiling, so I don't love him for tournaments. I think he's an okay cash click because his rates are so good, and he has that minutes floor. The other bigs like Mara and Morez Johnson, I think, are better clicks for your tournament player pools, especially since the price difference, right? Mara's $1,000 cheaper. Morez Johnson is $1,600 cheaper. Morez is one of those guys where you could look up and he could have a 12-point, 12 rebound, three blocks in this one for a really nice game. So for tournaments, I think Morez Johnson at 7,300 is definitely somebody that I would look at here. Elliot Cadeau, kind of looking at everything, like he's a little interesting. He's going to probably get the Hoiberg the defense right, so it's a little annoying. But I just don't think these bigs are going to be able to handle Michigan. So, that really nice assist rate should play, but he's at a ceiling price at 6,600. I don't love that. Better real life game, I think, than fantasy. So I'm not going to have too many clicks in this game. But I think it'll be a fun one to watch. All right, we'll slide on to a game that should have a ton of fantasy points scored, and that's Arizona State +8 at UCF, 164 implied total. Both teams probably going to get up into the 80s in this one. Arizona State implied for 78, UCF 86. Both teams nearly top 100 in tempo here. Both teams don't play a lot of defense. So, yeah, we're going to have fantasy points scored in this one. We look at the Arizona State side, 78 implied total. UCF kind of middle of the pack during Big 12 play and defensive efficiency. They are giving up 56% from two and nearly a 60% assist rate. So that is something that I'm looking at when factoring in, well, who's the lead guard? Well, it's Mo Odom, who has a 42% assist rate. You give him some steal upside because UCF turns it over at a 17% clip, 10% via the steal. And yeah, I wish we could get him for 8,800, right? 9,500. It's a lot tougher click because now you're talking about paying Mo Odom over somebody like Darius Acuff and just under like a Braden Smith. And then we'll talk about some other guys that are in this 9K range for guards. I think he's a cool tournament click because he does have upside to get you up into the 40s. We just saw him put 59 against a tough Cincy team. So, yeah, I think for tournaments, I would definitely look at Mo Odom. Musamba Diop at 7,900, another ceiling price tag here. He's okay. It's just hard to look at him when you have these other forwards here. But Diop at 7,900, it feels like a lot of the tourney upside is kind of sapped away by that price tag. So I'm not going to be playing much Musamba Diop on here. I'll take a stab or two at a Noah Musin at 5,500. Oh man, I wish the rates were a little bit better for this guy and it was maybe $500 cheaper, but he's playing 28 to 30-ish minutes here, 5,500. He's not gonna kill your lineup. He's probably just not gonna do enough to win $2,000. But he's on the floor, and this is going to be a mega pace up spot. So yeah, I think for me it's really kind of just Odom and let it ride on the rest of these guys. If you want to take a shot at Musin, especially if he starts, I think he's a lot more interesting. I do have a ton of interest in this UCF side. An 86 implied total, ASU 15th in defensive efficiency during Big 12 play, which is not very good. They're giving up 40% from three, 56% from two, and a 56% assist rate. They're also turning it over at an 18% clip, 12% via the steal. So, yeah, these UCF guys look pretty fantastic. Themis Folks, the lead guard at 7,800. Well, who's a guy that kind of matches, like, can do damage inside and spray out to shooters? Well, that's Themis Folks. I think he's kind of like a first guy, one of the first guards you look at in cash. He's 7,800, which is actually not a bad price tag for kind of where he's been. I mean, he's just 9,100 not too long ago. Going to play 32, 35 minutes in a close one. He's a guy that can legitimately challenge for a double-double, and sometimes he can take a ton of shots too. So usually takes you around 8 to 10, but sometimes he'll get up into the 17, 18 range, and he has 6+ assist upside. So yeah, definitely like Folks here. More of a cash target, even though he does have some ceiling for tournaments. I think Riley Kugel, when you save $900, you still get tournament upside that can reach up to Folks because he has a 30% shot rate. Now the minutes, it's been the same thing with Riley Kugel forever, right? It's like, will he play enough minutes? Will he make enough shots at 6,900? He could get to 31, 32 fantasy points if the shot is falling, but very, very shot reliant. So beware with Riley Kugel. I think he is kind of a cool tournament play. Jermichael Stillwell at 6,800. Another nice tournament play. We were playing him a lot earlier in the year. He's kind of come back to earth a little bit, 30-ish minutes in this one. 30 fantasy point type ceiling with this type of team total. What you like about UCF is these guys are just going to be on the floor. So you love that all these starters are basically in there for 30 minutes outside of John Bull. So Jermichael still at 6,800. You got to look at Jordan Burks too at 6,000. The thing with Jordan Burks is like he's just on the floor a ton. So he's the cheapest of the four starters. He's been playing pretty well. Gives you a really nice floor. Gives you a 5X type ceiling. A guy that can knock down threes. he's not going to give you the assist rate, but he does have a nice 4% stock rate. So, just kind of, I would say I'm probably not playing any tournament without one of these guys in every single lineup. And there's cause to playing, two of them in every single lineup. It's just an 86 team total. It's just fantastic. And you just look at the defensive efficiency from ASU. Going to be a lot of fantasy points scored. Those 4 starters play a ton of minutes. All right. That wraps up that one right there. So I think we're 4 games down with 5 to go. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons for us. We're coming to you live reaction tomorrow. We also have some Mountain West live games that we're streaming on the One and Done channel. We're doing Sunday recap shows with power rankings. We got it all. We're going to be even busier as we come down to the stretch run here. So be on the lookout for all the stuff that we are doing, and make sure you support your broskies in basketball here. All right, chat is chat's heated up. Nate C. Hustle jumping in there with his pitchforks. Maybe they'll play a little bit of defense tomorrow. Darren filling up the chat as per usual. If you have a question about the slate, please drop it in there. If you're watching this later on, drop a comment in there. And make sure you dive into the One and Done Invitational number 13. That'll flash across your screen here in just a minute. We'd love to play with all the broskies and broskets. And it's just a lot of fun. We'll post the winner like we always do. And hopefully that's me again. So we'll see if that happens for me. All right, let's move on to the next game here. This is probably the one side I would cross off. This is Providence plus 16 at UConn. Of course, I'm talking about the Providence side because you've got a 71 team total going up against the 4th ranked defense in the country as far as efficiency. And UConn is slow, 307th in tempo. So not a lot to like on the Providence side. You got Vox here at 8K. Don't love it. He's been really good. Kind of an underrated freshman compared to all the freshmen that have been balling out this year, right? But this is too expensive for him. I think, passing on him and Sellers, I think the one guy that is interesting for a tournament is Jameer Jones. He's been really good, another freshman. He's playing 32 minutes or so. The rates are climbing as we've gone through the season. He's 14 plus points in his last 4 games. He has rebounding upside. It's just a tough matchup. So, you're really chasing, kind of an outlier game from one of these guys. So I'm not going to recommend any of these guys except for maybe a Vox and a Jones and a large field to see if you can catch a wild hair there. So much more interested in this UConn side, 87 team total. We got Braylon Mullins questionable. He's in concussion protocol. So I was reading up on some stuff. The last time they had someone in concussion protocol, they missed 2 games. This last game was on Saturday. He only played a couple of minutes in the second half. That would really open up some things because Providence is dead last in defensive efficiency in Big East play. They give up 37% from 3 and 52% from 2. They're also allowing opponents to take the ball away via the steal and to block their shots. So a lot of fantasy points here for UConn. It starts with Terrace Reed at 9,300. If you just told me Terrace Reed would be on the floor for 30 minutes in this one, then you have to love the rates across the board and what that can do as a forward spin-up option on this slate. So Terrace Reed, definitely only a tournament type play, but he can get up into the 40s pretty easily in this one if it stays close at all. He's going to eat inside. So, definitely like Terrace Reed as a spin-up tourney option. DeMary, I feel like he's okay at 7,300, but when you look at like Caravan at 7,200, I feel like he's kind of a cool leverage play. DeMary is a pretty solid play, especially if Mullins is out. He's gonna have a much better floor. Still has a little bit of ceiling, but Caravan, when he gets down to like the 7K range, I kind of like taking shots at him in the large field, just because he's a guy that has 35 fantasy point upside. Now he hasn't done much recently. He hasn't had to because of Mullins, Reed, DeMary, all the ball's been balling out, so he hasn't had to do much. But I think Caravan's kind of a cool tournament click. I'm not playing solo ball. He burned me the last slate because I didn't think he was a good play, and then obviously went to overtime, scored a bunch of points. So solo ball at 67 got the price bump. Not interested there. We do have to talk about if Mullins misses, then his minutes will directly go to Jalen Stewart and Jaden Ross. So Jalen Stewart, both of these guys are 3K. Jalen Stewart's 3,600. Jaden Ross is a flat min at 3K. So when Mullins went out 2 minutes into the second half, Stewart played 11 minutes and Jaden Ross played 10 minutes. So in that second half. So these guys are, I got them projected for right around 20 to 22 minutes in this one. It's, it's not, they're not fun clicks by any means, but you have to think if a couple of things go right for them, they could easily pay off these 3K price tags. So I know we've been burned so many times by, I don't think he's going to be chalk, but like Jalen Stewart just not doing anything at 3,500. Like that's a tale as old as time. But then you have like Jaden Ross. Like if you were to draw the start at 3K flat, that certainly is interesting. 19 minutes last game, didn't do anything, only took one shot. Like the rates on these guys are not good. You're hoping that they hit a 3-pointer, get a putback, and then a couple of things kind of fall their way. And it's like, well, you need the matchup. If this was like, against St. John's or a Creighton or Marquette, like even those are pace ups, like those are just much better teams. Providence they just give it up fantasy wise. So yeah, you just need one of them to kind of just get there, right? 15 fantasy points will absolutely do, especially in Jaden Ross's case at 3K. So pay attention to the starting lineup. Maybe we're taking some shots at either one of those guys, maybe even a Malachi Smith at 3,100. Becomes interesting if he's in the starting lineup, but I doubt that. That'll wrap up the Providence UConn blowout that is expected. We get to a much more, I would say, fantasy friendly game, at least for both sides here. Fix my camera here. My kids were messing around. Appreciate you joining in there, Stan Q. What's up, man? Appreciate you joining the show. Make sure you jump in the one and done invitational number 13. All right, so a much more fantasy friendly game for both sides, and the up and down game here is going to be Missouri at Alabama, 169 implied total. Alabama 8th in tempo. We know they love to push their opponents, especially when they're at home. Like they're just going to make you run with them. Missouri, kind of annoying right now. They're 57th in bench minutes, but the thing with them is like they're kind of tinkering around with some things. Alabama not the best defensive efficiency, kind of middle of the pack in SEC play. They are allowing a 17% opponent block rate because when they're not shooting threes, they're attacking the rim. That's the natives thing, right? You want 50% of your shots from three. You want 50% of your shots want to be layups. So they're going to get a lot of their shots blocked. Starts with Mark Mitchell. He's 8,300. I don't play Mark Mitchell when he's over like 7,500. I don't really care what the matchup is because he just doesn't do anything outside of take a lot of shots. He's got a higher assist rate than he does rebounding rate, which makes no sense for a 6'9", like jacked up power forward. But that's just kind of been the tail of his career. If you want to take a shot on Mark Mitchell, by all means. I don't love it here. You got Jaden Stone. I just don't love the season high price tag. Because the first guy that you want to click when you open it up here with Missouri is T.O. Barrett at 5,100. Now, T.O. got his first start in the last game, and he's been seeing a lot more minutes, been 20-plus fantasy points in 4 straight. The salary has not caught up to him, obviously in the overtime game against OU. But if he plays projected 30 minutes in this one, you have to really like what he's going to do here. 24% usage rate, 19% assist rate, and a 3% steal rate. T.O. Barrett, one of the first clicks in cash, has turning upside. Probably going to play way too much of him. Anthony Robinson, now coming off the bench, he's 4,800. He's also a fun click in this one for tournaments. He's a guy that's had 25 to 30 fantasy point performances, but the minutes are just way down. T.O. Barrett is obviously, getting starting now, getting more of the lead. I wish they'd play them together, but I guess they won't. So Anthony Robinson, you got to be careful with him. T.O. Barrett's kind of just like a lock central at 5,100 in this pace up. Anthony Robinson, if you want to get kind of crazy in tournaments, you can do that. And I'm going to play Jacob Cruz at 4,700, like just a 13% usage rate. He's got to hit a lot of threes, which will probably take a lot in this game, but he won't play enough minutes. So, I think for me, really, it's T.O. Barrett in this one. I'll flip it over to the Bama side. Like a lot of plays here. So we got we had last game, we had Mari Allen, Aiden Holloway were out, which is awesome because whenever that happens, I like to play right still. Now we have, as of tonight's reports that I've seen, Allen's doubtful. Holloway is off the report, so he should play. I thought they would both play last game, so it's kind of weird that Allen is out. But that helps out because it condenses this because they're 42nd in bench minutes. Missouri's been top 5 in SEC play in defensive efficiency, but they are giving up 35% from 3. That's not good when Alabama, all they want to do is shoot threes. They do turn it over a lot, Missouri does, so there's some stock opportunity here. They're the second worst in turnover percentage, Missouri is. during conference play. So always LeBaron Philon, 9,600, just outstanding rates here, 33% usage, assist upside. You're going to give these guys some steal upside now. It gets pretty scary. I think he could turn in a massive game here. Love him for tournaments. You got the whole Sherrell Bediako thing going on. With Bediako here now, I just have I can't play Aiden Sherrill at 7,500 until we kind of see how this Bediako. Now, I know Sherrill got into foul trouble, but he's not really a guy that plays massive minutes anyway. So if you're going to tell me he's playing 25 minutes, Bediako's probably going to play 15 to 18. Like, it kind of takes both of them out for me. 7,500 for Sherrell, too much, too expensive. I need him in the 30-minute range, even in this matchup. Bediako 5,900, right? Like, I was really hoping like we would get him at like 4,500, right? But we're not going to get that, and he's gonna be able to do some things. Obviously, he did some things when he was a sophomore 3 years ago or whatever it was. So yeah, I just think where their price tags are at, I can't touch them. Now I think Latrell Wrightson is kind of a cool tournament play. All he does is chuck threes, but if he's going to be on the floor for 30 to 32 minutes, he's going to shoot a bunch of threes. His peripherals, like, you need him to get like 2 to 3 rebounds and a couple of assists and a couple of steals to pay off 5,800. So it's not going to be can he make 3 or 4 threes? It's can he do anything else on the floor? We'll see. I just think tournament click only. He's got a pretty rough floor. So Latrell Wrightson at 5,800, certainly interesting. But I think the two best clicks in this entire game are going to be T.O. Barrett on the Missouri side and LeBaron Philon on the Alabama side. All right. Let's not waste any time. We'll dive into Kentucky +7 at Vanderbilt, 159 total. Two teams. Well, Vanderbilt had the nice win against Mississippi State, although Mississippi State looks like they're pretty much done with their year. Kentucky riding a 5-game SEC win streaks. Now all of a sudden they look like they're doing some things. But yeah, projected to lose this one by 7 at Vanderbilt. You got Kentucky with Quaintance and Cam Williams out. Vanderbilt middle of the pack in defensive efficiency during SEC play, but they are struggling inside. When they went on their little streak where they lost a couple of games there, Vandy was giving up 58% from 2. So we want to target guys that get downhill, maybe even some bigs here. It starts with Otega Owe at 9K, kind of returning to the role that he had last year. He's gonna have the ball in his hands. He's gonna have to make things happen without Jalen Lowe. They don't really have a true point guard now that Lowe's out for the year. So he's just going to have the ball in his hands a ton, and he's going to play, pretty big minutes on this team. Now, the price tag is not exciting. I usually play him when he's closer to like 8K, 8,200. This 9K, there's better guard options that we've already talked about, and a few more that we'll talk about here in a second. So probably off Owe. Denzel Avery at 6,500. I think for a tournament, he's a little sneaky. People aren't going to really play him at this price tag, but he could go for 30 in this one. And that's what you want at 6,500. I didn't shoot it well last game, still put up 18 fantasy points. So, yeah, it's in the realm of possibilities here. I think he's a little sneaky. Malachi Moreno, definitely someone that I'm interested in at 6K because this Vandy squad gives up a lot of rebounds. They give it up inside. And he's a guy that has a 22% assist rate and a 13% stock rate during conference play. And legitimately, if he ever plays 30 minutes, he's going to absolutely smash. I get it's on the road here, tougher environment. But he's had 31 and 28 in 2 of the last 4. He's been over 20 pretty much since Quaintance has been down. So I definitely like Malachi Moreno in tournaments. And then I guess we have to look at Colin Chandler. He's now fit. I don't love when Colin Chandler starts to get higher than 5K, but there's a reason why. I mean, his price has spiked up because he's played 33 and 32 minutes in the last 2 games. He scored 30 real-life points and had 14 combined rebounds in those 2 games. He didn't even shoot it well last game and had 25 fantasy points. So, yeah, we got to pay attention to Colin Chandler at 5,600. Not my favorite click, especially if he's going to be popular by tomorrow. That's really scary. But someone that's been getting it done, so he has to be in our player pool. So those would be the 3 guys I look at: Aberdeen in tournaments, Moreno in tournaments, and then Chandler. He's got a little bit better floor right now, but that's some turning upside at 5,600. We'll slide over to the Vanderbilt side. 83 implied total here, which is a little surprising. We had Duke Miles pop up questionable, kind of unknown what his status is. Collins has been out got the Q tag. Haven't really heard anything on him, so we're just kind of expecting him out. Kentucky third in defensive efficiency during SEC play, but some of the guards get a boost here, 54% assist rate being given up by Kentucky. So Tyler Tanner getting a shout out in the comments here. He's 9,200. Yeah, he's been phenomenal this year. Really solid floor spend up at guard. I don't know that Vanderbilt's just going to get to 83 though, especially with the way Kentucky's been playing. Kentucky's got a lot of size at the guard position too, so it's also a tough click because if Duke Miles is out, it obviously becomes a little more clear for Tyler Tanner. I still think he's a great floor play. His upside would go up even more if Duke Miles were to miss. So we'll have to pay attention to that news because Miles has a 29% usage rate, 28% shot rate. So that's going to have to spread out throughout the team. He also has an elite 5% steal rate. So, Duke Miles, when he's in the 7K range, he's awesome as a tournament click. He paid us off against Mississippi State. He paid us off against Texas. He's a little bit, I guess, lost in that Arkansas game when I played him. So, but, that happens from time to time. But Duke Miles, we'll pay attention to him because that affects the whole slate, really, if he's out. Tyler Nickel, I don't play him. He's going to have to shoot a lot of threes, very shot dependent. At 6,800, like if you want to take a shot at him and you beat me with him, by all means, like congratulations. But I don't play Tyler Nickel over like 6K. It's just too shot dependent for me. So we'll talk about what happens if Miles sits. Well, we've seen Mike James, 3,400, the NC State transfer. We've seen him get some minutes. At 3,400, like his rates aren't good. They've never really been good throughout his career. But if you're going to tell me he's going to play 22 to 24 minutes in this one, he's always been a really good, strong rebounding guard. Just in consideration, we'd have to watch for the starting lineup in this one to see what's going to happen, what they'll do. They could easily play Nickel at the 3, Okereke at the 4, and then play McLaughlin and Washington at the 4-5. So, if he or Tyler Harris somehow get involved, both sub 4K, and they're in the starting lineup, like you have to look at them just for tournaments. You can't click them because you can't trust them. But just interesting plays for sure. All right, I think we got 2 games left. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons. Stan asking for PrizePicks shows. Yeah, man, need to get on that soon. So we'll definitely look into that. We're adding content all the time, so. I know those PrizePicks are on fire. I've actually had a really nice couple of weeks on PrizePicks, so I need to get you guys on that. We'll look at the schedule, see if we can make things happen. Appreciate the question there, Stan. And for all the support, hit the like and subscribe buttons. We got 2 more games on the docket. This game next is the one that we are live reacting to, as Jay will come back tomorrow night with me. And we're going to talk about Purdue -4 at Indiana, 152 implied total. Huge game for both teams. Purdue back-to-back losses. Indiana is at home looking for a signature win. This is going to be an awesome real-life game. Not a lot of tempo in this game. Both teams sub 200 in tempo. They're not the slowest teams, but a lot of this is going to have to do with efficiency. Purdue at 78 implied. Indiana kind of middle of the pack in the Big Ten defensive efficiency, although they are getting kind of beat up inside. But they don't have the biggest front line, giving up 56% from 2. You're not a strong rebounding team, so you got to like this bump here for the bigs for Purdue. Don't want to skip over Braden Smith because he's just 9,900, and we know that he can go absolutely nuclear on this team. I think with Indiana, they just have a lot of guards that can kind of, you got Connerway there that can kind of get after him. But I'm not gonna blame you for playing Braden Smith. We just talked about so many 9K guards that when you look in you're opening up this Purdue side and you're seeing 6,600 TKR. That's really hard not to click a lot of times in tournaments. I mean, I know it hasn't. I'm like, I don't know why he's playing 26 minutes. Like that doesn't make any sense. He should be playing 35 minutes. So I don't know what's going on there, but the rates are phenomenal, right? Like even at 26 minutes in this matchup, he should still be able to get value at 4X. Like 25 should be like his median projection, especially in this matchup. They're not going to be able to keep him off the glass. A lot of putback opportunities. I don't know how they defend him or Clough. So both guys, Clough, $500 cheaper. I like TKR for ceiling purposes, 40 fantasy point upside. Clough more for like a floor purposes. Both have 33 to 34% combined rebounding rates. TKR a little more involved as far as a facilitator at 21% assist rate, but Clough not terrible at all, 13% assist rate. Both guys can block some shots. they're just so involved offensively. TKR is definitely being used differently. That's one of the things that I didn't like Purdue coming into this year because they're trying to play him at the 5, trying to play him at the 4 when he's actually better as a kind of a as a 5-man, right? And having the floor spacer like Cam Heide last year from the 4. Now they don't have that. They're playing with 2 plotting bigs, which just gets themselves into trouble when their wings like Fletcher Lawyer aren't making any shots. So that's a whole story. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But TKR 6,600 tournament check, Clough 6,100 cash check, and then I wish our guy Corey was in the chat, king of the single entry, because this is his guy Fletcher Lawyer. This guy will play him at 7K. I don't play Fletcher Lawyer until he's like under 4,500, and here he is at 4,300. So whoop-de-doo me. This guy never does anything but shoot, and he hasn't shot it well. So, 2 for 9 in the last couple, 0 for 3 in the USC game. Like, just not doing anything, but you have to kind of play him here. Indiana's got to double these bigs, and he should be able to shoot 6 or 7 threes here. If he could ever just fall over a couple of rebounds and get like 1 assist at 4,300, you love that. It's just one of those things where he's got to make his shots, but at 4,300, I don't know how you don't click him in cash as like one of the first options. And playing 2 Purdue guys in cash makes a ton of sense based on the price tags here. You can even play CJ Cox. He's $100 cheaper, and he takes a kind of that 5th option role, right, where he can knock down some threes because nobody's covering him. So both of those guys probably going into every lineup with 2 Purdue guys on the road, which is a little scary, and one of them not being Braden Smith feels even more terrifying. So maybe as I get more lineups in, I'll work some more Braden Smith in, but just where the guards are, there's a lot of guards in the 9K range that have just as high a ceiling, even though Braden Smith can go for 60 at any point. So do with that what you will. Over on the Indiana side, we got Connerway dealing with an ankle issue. Devery says he hasn't been able to do a lot. He played through it last game. I would expect that happens. We'll pay attention to that. Purdue's giving up 36% from 3, so they've been top 5 in Big Ten play and defensive efficiency, but they've been kind of giving it up. 56% from 2, not great either. It's what happens when you play 2 plotting bigs, and you have stretch 4s running around, spacing out the floor. Indiana's the 2nd best 3-point shooting team in Big Ten, so this could easily be an Indiana upset here. Lamar Wilkerson's going to fire a ton of threes and just so involved at 8,600. I think he's a really good tournament click. He could have one of these Indiana Hoosier legacy games for him. Tournaments only, right? Because you got all those guys in the 9K range that make a lot more sense. And just feel like more comfortable clicks. But Wilkerson definitely in tournaments. Devery's price is now finally caught up. We had him at like 6,400 a couple of weeks ago. I'm not playing him at 8K in this matchup, just going against the double big. He's probably going to be in foul trouble in the first couple of minutes in this one guarding Clough or TKR, which is why I like those guys, right? You have Devery's playing the 5 or the 4, and then Alexis playing the 5. Should be Purdue should be able to eat here. Connerway, can't really play him with the ankle issues and things like that, but Nick Dorn got a ton of minutes last game. And not great rates and 3-point reliant, right? It's kind of like, why wouldn't you play Lawyer at 4,300 when he's the exact same as Nick Dorn, but Nick Dorn's 1,100 more expensive? People are going to game log watch. They're going to see all those threes that he made. Not the same matchup, and he's not going to really get any rebounds or assists. So you're just banking on him hitting like 5 threes to even try to pay this off. So don't think I'm going to recommend Dorn. Alexis at 5,300, Hunter Enright at 4,400. That's kind of where they should be at. Just not exciting plays, and they're just not that involved. So if you think Alexis is going to get minutes, you can try to, they need his size at 5,300. You could try to play him there, but it's just an ugly matchup. All right, to wrap that up, we'll go to the last game here. Creighton, -3 at Marquette, 153 implied total. Creighton won the first matchup at home, 84-63. In that one, Trout had a nice game, 14 points, 5 boards. Graves went off with 17, 6, and 6. You had James from Marquette go for 23, 6, and 3. And then, Chase Ross struggled. That was part of his struggle bus where I was losing a lot of money on Chase Ross. But this one should have some fantasy points given up in this one. Marquette, 9th in defensive efficiency during Big East play. That's bottom 3. They can't stop anything inside. They're giving up 54% from 2. They're giving up a lot of opponent shot blocks. They can't keep people off the glass either. They're giving up a 37% offensive rebounding rate. The problem with it is that Creighton doesn't really have anybody that can get on the glass and that can block shots. So you can kind of toss that out the window. Maybe if Owen Freeman and the whatever $2 million report they were paying him, he's not even playing. That would have made a lot of sense, but it just doesn't make sense where we're at in real life today. So Austin Schwartz, 7,500. Now he's always playable, but I think for me, it's either Josh Dix or Nick Craves. Josh Dix at 7,300. Very shot dependent, but the minutes floor, really nice here. He's probably going to get Chase Ross defense, which I don't love. I wish he was probably $500 cheaper for tournaments. Probably not going to click him. I'd much rather click Nick Graves at 6,500. I know they start Davis for like 2 minutes and then Graves comes in. I don't know why they do that, but it's just something fun that they like to do. But Nick Graves, liable to, go for 30 plus fantasy points, especially in this type of environment. So, it is on the road, so you got to be careful with these Creighton guys. We'll see what happens with Jason Green. He's questionable with the shoulder. He's expected to play, but I'm not playing 7,700, even though he would be the one guy that could block a few shots, that get some easy buckets inside, that could get some rebounds. But, man, that's kind of – you're coming off a shoulder injury. He just left the last game. I thought he was going to miss, but it sounds like he's playing. So if you want to play some Jason Green, by all means, go for it. I think this Marquette side's a lot more interesting. Creighton giving up 35% from three. And what do you know? 2 months ago, I was saying I don't know why Shaka Smart's not playing his three best players 35-plus minutes, and that was James, Ross, and Parham. And fast forward to a terrible season that they're having, and now all of a sudden, instead of everyone on the roster playing 20 minutes, James, Ross, and Parham are playing 35-plus minutes. So you have to look at them, even though they're at ceiling price tags. James sitting here at 9,100, just mega usage, highest in during conference play of any player. High shot rate, 41% assist rate, just elite rates, but now you're paying for it at 9,100. Definitely has a ceiling to get there. Another one of those really good guard options in the 9K range. Chase Ross, $400 cheaper. Another excellent play, especially now that we know that these guys are going to play 35 minutes barring foul trouble. He can do a lot of different things at 8,700. I think I prefer James in this matchup. Royce Parham at 7,400. Rates aren't as good, but he's out there for a lot of minutes. Just tough to pay 7,400 for him. There's a lot of we just talked about the Purdue guys being 6,600 and 6,100. So don't think it makes a ton of sense to go with Parham. I think Ben Gold's in like a sneaky spot here. He's always a tournament click, right? Because you just know that he could easily fall flat on his face for 10 fantasy points. But every now and then he'll knock down 3 or 4 threes and then get some rebounds, and then all of a sudden you're off and running in a tournament. I'm not going to recommend it, but I think he is at least has to be in your tournament player pool based on the matchup. And then a value guy kind of off the board. I think Demarius Owens probably going to play 20 minutes in this matchup. He had been playing 25 or so and before last game. He only played 17, but he's playing 24, 26, 27 minutes and was producing. Comes off the bench. I think he's a guy that can really do some damage in this matchup. He's kind of an energy guy. Flies around, gets rebounds. That plays really well in this spot, especially at home. So Demarius Owens has a value target. All right, that'll wrap up the 9-game slate here. We'll make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons here. We'll get a core 4 ready for you, at least some cash targets, some pillars. And then we'll do some tourney guys, just kind of recap everything and then get you on out of here. All right. So I kind of just mentioned the Purdue guys. Lawyer, Clough, they're just too cheap for their roles. It's going to be hard not to click them for floors. Even though Lawyer could absolutely bottom out at 4,300, man, like a guy that plays 28 minutes and takes a lot of threes. It's hard not to look at Lawyer here as a floor type play. Tio Barrett, just an awesome play all the way around at 5,100, especially continues starting. He's been playing big minutes. And then Folks, just an awesome matchup against Arizona State. Should be able to get into the lane and kind of do whatever he wants. Just a massive assist upside. They're giving up their 40% from three and nearly a 60% assist rate to opponents. So definitely like what his floor is for sure. So when you click those 4 guys here, it leaves you with 6,600. So you can still do a ton of damage in this one. But yeah, we'll slide it on over to this tourney upside. It was kind of tough, right? I feel like you have to play maybe 1 or 2 spin-up guards in this one if you're not playing a spin-up guard in Terrace Reed. I feel like it's that kind of slate here. There's just so many guys from 8,500 to 9,900. So basically from Lamar Wilkerson up to Braden Smith, and then I'll include who we just talked about here, which was that famous folks at 7,800 kind of got to be included with that group for much cheaper. But I like to go here to LeBaron Philon at 9,600 in this spot against Missouri at home. Just feel like, 40 plus on the docket for him, but you could choose any one of these 9K guards. Nigel James, obviously I wouldn't be mad at you. I always probably the one guy I wouldn't click on this one. Mo Odom, I think, is kind of in a cool spot just based on his matchup. So yeah, we've got I got Darren jumping in, Stan jumping in the chat here. TKR at 6,600 just for tournament upside. Riley Kugel, kind of the opposite of Folks, right? Like you're chasing leverage and you're chasing ceiling with Kugel. I think you could instantly put Stillwell in there too at 6,800 instead of Kugel. And then Darian Reed, if you think it kind of keeps hopping off for him, definitely has tournament upside, but definitely could fall flat on his face. I think Xavier Brown's kind of an interesting guy too on that Oklahoma side. And then, you've obviously got the Arkansas guys with like Acuff. Brazil, I think, is kind of a cool tournament play. So, lots of awesome options. You can kind of do whatever you want. There's like wait for starting lineups because we got to wait for some of this injury news to happen. We'll kind of see as we take the night here. Make sure you guys do us one last favor one more time. I will beg you to hit the like and subscribe buttons for us on our journey to 1,800 subs. If you guys are interested in any other comments or thoughts, just you can hit me up on Twitter at MCHolland34. Otherwise, make sure you jump into the one and done invitational number 13, $5 to enter. There's the QR code up at the top. Link is in the chat. Make sure y'all dive into that. That is always a fun contest. So, having said that, I'll close it out. My name is Mike Holland with the One and Done crew. Make sure you guys have a safe night. Make sure nobody's out there driving crazy in the ice and slipping and sliding. We want to make sure we can spin this bread as soon as we win it. And Darren jumping in says the MC Holland 34 invitational number 13. Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what it's called around the streets. But everyone have a good night, and we'll see you on the other side. Peace.